Hi, this is Sherri Gallagher with Technacon Company Incorporated, and we're going to continue our journey to transition from ISO 9001, the 2008 revision, to the 2015 revision. Here we're going to be concerned with the context of the organization, and we're going to narrow it even further by only looking at interested parties. Now, always remember that what I'm presenting to you is just one way of looking at this, and there's many other ways as there are companies. So you've got to decide what's best for your company. If this doesn't work for you, check into some other consultants and see what is best. Now we're going to have to start with the scope of the organization. The requirements haven't changed between the two revisions of the standard, but it's very important that the scope is reviewed and it accurately represents your organization, or you could include interested parties that really aren't, or you could exclude interested parties that you should cover. And I would really hate to have you find that out when you get to your audit. So please review the scope of your organization. Only you can know if it's accurate or not. So who are the interested parties? Interested parties have a stake in your organization and how it produces products and services that meet the customer's requirements, and they must be relevant to the QMS. Understand, you must have both of those. This changes from company to company, and as I said before, only you can determine who the interested parties are. Now, in previous versions of ISO 9001, we were mostly concerned with the customer, and we kind of poked at the suppliers and the employees. There's nothing formalized, and there was no direct considerations of risk or opportunity. But now, when we look at the interested parties, these are people who have a stake in what and how your organization performs in producing products and services which meet the customer requirements and are relevant to the QMS. Now, interested parties are defined in Section 4.2 of the standard. And it doesn't require you to have risks and opportunities there. But in 6.1, you are required to define the risks and opportunities. And so at this point in time, we will, in this presentation, identify risks and opportunities. Now, what is risk? Well, if you look at ISO 9001, risk can be either a negative or a positive. But if you can get into some of these other standards, like ISO 31000 or 14001, they list risk as a negative and opportunity as a positive. To eliminate confusion, I'm going to use the terms risk as a negative and opportunity as a positive. Be aware an auditor may challenge you on this, so it's whatever your company defines it as. I've got a client who defines quality objectives as rocks. As long as it's a term everyone in the organization knows and understands, then the auditor has got to accept that. So don't be put off by this. And if you want to use risk and opportunity, go ahead. Or if you want to use risk as a negative and a positive, go for it. That's your prerogative. It's your company. Now, interested parties affect the QMS. So this is important because it may mean that you need to include your customer, your end user, and your competitor as your interested parties. Now, why would you include them? Well, the customer may provide a specific method of manufacture that they want to use. That's going to change how you develop your quality management system. The end user may have requirements above and beyond your customer. You may be a component or a subassembly of your customer's product, and the end user has additional requirements, which ultimately flow back upstream and will impact your quality management system. And then there are your competitors. Suppose they have a robust cycle of bringing out new products. Well, if you want to stay competitive, you have to have the same robust cycle. But if you don't want to have a black eye in the market by bringing something out too quickly and having huge quality problems and recalls, then you have to have a robust quality management system that will prevent those issues. So the customer, the end user, and your competitor may or may not impact the quality management system and may or may not be an interested party. Now, who else would be an interested party? Well, there are your suppliers, your internal groups, your intermediaries, alliances, and influencers. Now, what do we mean by all of these different groups. And why would they be interested parties? Okay, we all know who suppliers are. They provide raw materials, components, sub-assemblies, finished products, services, and they can impact your cost, they can impact your delivery, they impact your final product, so they are included in the interested parties. Internal groups are like your employees, your unions, your stockholders. These are people who make decisions and can change whether or not you make a good or a bad product. Intermediaries are people like distributors or aftermarket service groups. They can impact your quality. Now, alliances. That is someone who produces a product that may be related to yours, and by bringing in your product, they can increase their sales, and by you bringing them in, you can increase their sales. You're related, and you have an influence. Now, influencers are things like peer groups, councils, chambers, auditors, regulators, certifying bodies. These are all influencers. So what we want to do is we want to make a table, and we want to list these impacts as part of our table. But there's more to be done than just listing the interested parties and their impacts. Remember, they have a risk and an opportunity for us. So once we've got our table with all of our impacts, then we have to go on to the next step and list our risks and opportunities. But there's more to the impact than just listing it. We need to define the risks and the opportunities. So our suppliers, that's pretty straightforward. If they send us non-conformances, that's a risk, or they could provide us with superior performance, which would be an advantage in sales. Our employees, they control our product quality. Are they going to carry on and train others and produce a good product with pride in their workmanship? Or are they going to come in, put in their time, and who cares what goes out the door? Shareholders invest. But are they looking for a quick turnaround and pulling money out of the company so there's not money for new equipment? Or are they looking to reinvest and go for long-term profits? The community can make demands, which can reduce our profits, or they can promote our development and promote us as a company. Intermediaries can damage our product and have a poor customer service, or they can add more contacts and sales. Alliances, our reputation is tied to them. If they're good, great. If they sink, they're taking us with them. Our influencers, well, their advice may be a different frame of reference. And so they may not understand what we're facing. That's the risk. But they have a wide range of experience, and that may be something that we need in order to build and grow our company. What about regulators? Well, we have to comply with them. And if we're not good at managing change and of being aware of it, then we can have citations and hurt our reputation. Or we can get excellent ratings, which advance us in the business community. Certifying bodies are very similar. And if we get a good auditor, then he's going to keep us up to date on the global view of what a QMS should be. And if he's not up to date, well, there can be a lot of problems and a lot of difficulties, and you need a good auditor. You get the idea. Now, once we have identified our risks and our opportunities, we need to monitor them so we can control them or take advantage of them as necessary. So we need to add another column to our table. So our suppliers, we might do annual performance reviews, random inspections, audits. Our employees, we might do annual performance reviews and employee meetings. Shareholders, well, we're going to look at what the board of directors reports say to see where we stand with that. In the community, we're going to be involved with community newsletters, membership in community organizations. Intermediaries, well, we're going to be keeping a good close track of our non-conformances and our sales and any kind of reports from the end customer. Alliances, well, we're going to monitor their press releases and their quarterly sales and our quarterly sales. Influencers, well, we're going to be doing monthly meetings with those guys. So we'll have our minutes and we'll have our time there. And then regulators, well, they're going to be sending out updates. And certifying bodies, Well, we're going to get updates from them at our annual surveillance audit, and most of them have regular newsletters or press releases or information to their clients to help you stay involved and keep your quality management system in compliance with the standards that you're trying to meet. Now, of course, what's in these tables is just typical. You need to set up what works for you and your company. You are the best judge of this. These are just some things to give you some ideas of where to look. So now we have our lovely table, and what are we going to do with it? Well, here's a little piece of information. There is no documented information requirement for interested parties or risk and opportunity. What is required is that you communicate it throughout your organization so that those involved with the QMS can act responsibly and carry out the monitoring and react to the risks and the opportunities. So what do you do with it? Well, if you want, you can put it in your quality manual. You can communicate it in any way you want. You just have to be able to identify who are your interested parties. Now remember, when you're identifying your interested parties, you have to think about who affects or has the potential to affect your quality management system. And it's going to be unique to your company. Let common sense guide you on identifying your interested parties. Don't worry, you can do this. If you need help, you can email me at technacon1986@sbcglobal.net or call me at 708-814-3685. And look forward to our next presentations. They'll be on internal and external influences, which are also part of the context of the organization. Go out and have a wonderful day.